So we only have a basic premise to go off of with the Curse of Molly McGee, but it already sounds kind of interesting to me. To what extent? Just how big of a show will this be? I think we'll have to wait and see. But it already sounds kind of interesting. All right. Hey everybody, Blood Moon Bobby here. So, yeah, Disney Channel has greenlit a new series. As you can see right behind me, there's an image from the poster of this new show, and it is called The Curse of Molly McGee, which that show title may sound scary, but it's only scary to the deuteragonist of the show, which is a ghost named Scratch. So, what exactly is the premise of The Curse of Molly McGee? I have Disney Television Animation's Instagram post announcing that this new series has been greenlit, and this is what that post had to say. Quote, just revealed, Disney Channel has ghostlighted, get it, ghostlighted, greenlit, the brand new series, hashtag Curse of Molly McGee. Molly lives to make the world a better place, and Scratch finds joy in spreading misery. When one of Scratch's spells backfires, he finds himself forever cursed in Molly's presence. So that's the idea behind it, at least in terms of the premise. It's not that, Molly McGee is a really bad person. It's that the character Scratch, because I guess you could say, he sounds pretty sadistic in that, he finds joy in, misery and things like that. And it's because he has to team up with, like, this character who sounds, like, super optimistic and, really enjoys being happy and joyful. It's that kind of, mix where Scratch is like, ooh, like, that sounds really annoying, and that sounds like something that's going to get in his head. So yeah, that's the current premise. There's no set release date for this new series. Wasn't even announced at Comic-Con, and there's no cast, no release date just yet. Hopefully, we'll get more details within like the next few months or this coming year. I have a feeling, I mean, it sounds like, we're not going to see the show in the super near future or that sort of a thing, but I'm sure we'll get more details to come in like the coming months or even the next year or so. So, how do I personally feel about the premise of the Curse of Molly McGee? It definitely sounds pretty fun. I mean, you look at the image right here, Molly McGee seems like a really likable, really happy, really a cute character in contrast with Scratch. And the premise kind of reminds me of Disney Channel and Disney XD's, like some of their most popular shows in recent years. It's kind of like you have a show with a really giddy slash really jolly lead character, or at least somebody who's in a sort of lead position, those that I don't have to name, but you'll see the screenshots of in this video, and they're paired with a secondary character that is either more down to earth or someone that is or someone that isn't as like joyful, is kind of somebody that's more down to earth. In the case of the Curse of Molly McGee, though, it sounds like Scratch is kind of more menacing compared to characters like certainly Dipper, but also compared to somebody like Marco. I mean, obviously, we'll have to see the show itself, but just the idea that this character gets, joy out of, other people's misery. I'm kind of wondering, without, like, I'm kind of wondering if he is kind of like a bit of a prankster character, or if deep down he's just a really like pessimistic character because he's lacking confidence, and it's up to teaming up with Molly McGee. Maybe she has to show him how to have faith in things, how to be optimistic, what it's like to look on the bright side, and that sort of thing, because that premise actually sounds quite interesting. Now, in terms of what are these characters going to be doing, it's really hard to say. We can't even say if it's a slice of life show or if it's going to be something like an epic adventure like in Gravity Falls or Star vs. the Forces of Evil. It's funny, I know the animation YouTuber Saberspark recently put out a tweet that nowadays with cartoons, they all look, super happy and jolly on the outside, and then next thing you know, by the time they get to their second season, a character has probably passed away, which is kind of, I mean, the character passing away, it was debatable, but I think he's talking about shows like how in Gravity Falls and especially Star vs. the Forces of Evil, they start out off as just okay, seems like really nice adventure. In the case of Star, it seems like it's just gonna be this really bubbly, really fun adventure with Star Marco. But then when they get to the season 1 finale, then shit gets really serious and the stakes are raised and it becomes like a very serious matter of life and death where you're on the edge of your seat. And Gravity Falls is very similar to that as well. You know, the season, the season 1 finale where Dipper and Mabel have to fight Gideon and that sort of a thing. But I don't really know, like, judging from, I can't even say just by looking at the screenshot. I mean, all I could really say is that the premise does sound familiar to some of Disney Channel shows in the past. Not that it's a bad thing. I'm sure that Curse of Molly McGee is going to do things that, are new and fresh. But to what extent, the adventures of the show will be is really hard to say. I've also heard that Amphibia is also kind of like that too. I've seen tweets from people tweeting following the release of the season 1 finale of Amphibia, and it also sounds like it gets really nerve-wracking and serious. But we don't really know, like, are Molly and Scratch, are they going to go around like fighting other ghosts and monsters and that sort of a thing? That's really hard to say at this point. I mean, looking at Disney Channel and Disney XD's past shows, I'd say it's to be expected, but it's far from being confirmed. But I do like this premise. It does sound like this, when Molly and Scratch have to team up, Molly has... I'm wondering if they're going to do a sort of balance thing where Molly teaches Scratch to have maybe like more confidence in himself and to be more optimistic in how things go and that sort of thing. And Scratch would have to in turn tell Molly that not everything is going to go her way, and it's just something that she has to accept, despite her determinism. But I'm just speculating here. There's really not much to say. Again, basically all we have to go off of is the premise that Disney television animation has put out, basically saying that Molly and Scratch are teaming up because one day one of Scratch's curses backfires, and Molly is a very optimistic person who wants to change the world for the better, and Scratch is just, basically a very sadistic character. So I'm wondering, if Scratch, looking at the premise and seeing that it says that, he gets sort of joy out of the misery of others, it kind of sounds like a bit of a prankster-ish character, although I'm wondering if that's hiding any insecurities down below that Molly will have to dig up. We'll have to wait and see, when trailers start coming out, for the Curse of Molly McGee. I'm already, like, wondering, are they going to, like, build up, like, in the trailers, are they going to build up, like, Molly as, like, this really scary character, and then it turns out, she's, really optimistic and really helpful. We'll have to wait and see. It's still really early days, but I still wanted to, speculate and talk about, what we know about the show and connecting it to some of Disney television animation's past projects, which are easily some of my favorite shows in the current cartoon generation. So we'll have to wait and see. All we know for now is the premise of the Curse of Molly McGee, but the premise itself is actually, it sounds pretty interesting. But please let me know your thoughts down below. Are you interested in the Curse of Molly McGee? Are you excited to see a trailer, or do you want to see more information before you could even get a good impression of the show? Leave all those thoughts down below. Until next time, this has been Blood Moon Bobby, and thank you guys for watching. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this Blood Moon Bobby video. Like and share the video if you enjoyed it, and feel free to leave a comment. Subscribe to my channel, and ring the bell to get notified when I release my latest videos. Follow me at Blood Moon Bobby on your favorite social media platforms to take part in polls, see my tech tips, and to hear about my video plans. Thanks for watching.